Sing, hear you sing. So go rest high on that mountain. Son, your work on earth is done. Go to heaven a shouting for the Father and the Son. Go to heaven a shouting for the Father and the Son. For the Father and the Son.
Please rise for the presentation of colors and the national anthem, followed by the invocation.
Our Father, as Aggies come together in all parts of the world, we pause to praise Thee for the many material and spiritual blessings of past years. We are humbly grateful for our Aggie heritage and the camaraderie we enjoy. Strengthen this sense of our God-given love and friendship. May it spread to men and women of all schools, nations, and races, and bring people of the world into a new bond of friendship and peace. Fill with Thy presence the circle of our friendship that is broken by an absence in our roll call. May we have a reverent appreciation for the great examples and sacrifices given by those of us whom we honor by silver taps. Bless the inspiration of this occasion, that we may be strong in body, keen in mind, friendly in society, and religious at heart. Through Thy grace we pray. Amen.
Please be seated. Howdy. Howdy. My name is Dina Atterbury, and class of 11, and I am the president of the Aggie Former Student Network and the Master of Ceremonies for tonight's Galveston County Muster. At this time, I am pleased to introduce Colonel Michael Fossum, class of 80, Galveston campus's COO, Vice President of Texas A&M University, and the Superintendent of the Texas A&M Maritime Academy. And my friend.
Thanks, Tina. Howdy. Howdy. See you, Aggies. Welcome home. Main campus Aggies, Aggies from everywhere. Welcome to our special part of Aggie land down here. This is the most revered Aggie tradition there is. No, it's not midnight yell practice or kissing your date when the football team scores or anything like that. It's really this one, and it comes at the end of close to the end of the semester. I remember myself being a freshman thinking I had all these Aggie things figured out. And I will never forget the first Aggie Muster that I attended on the main campus. I didn't really understand that I saw, just like we were gathering here, old friends greeting each other, telling some quick stories, and people hanging on to each other, because it's a time to reflect on loss, to celebrate lives, and to remember those comrades that have gone before us. It's hard in ways, but it's also a celebration of life. Folks, in a really big way, this is what it means to be a Texas Aggie. You're not just an Aggie while you're a student. You're an Aggie for the rest of your life and even beyond, as long as there are those there to still answer for you. Tonight, even if you're not a proud graduate of Texas A&M University, you're all Aggies tonight. And later on, we'll be singing a couple of songs. We've made it easy for you. They're in the back of the program. So I would ask everybody to please join us. Thanks for being here. Thank you to the Muster Committee, the Galveston County A&M Club, and the people, the many volunteers and student volunteers and stuff that have really come together for this night. It's a lot of heavy lifting, but you know what? It's worth every minute of it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Colonel Fossum. Today we are called together to celebrate the lives of the Aggies that have passed and reflect upon our time spent at Texas A&M, a tradition that is now celebrated in hundreds of locations worldwide. Jet Taylor, class of 25, will recite Margaret Rutter's poem, Aggie Muster Day, and then Janae Childs, class of 25, will share the history of Muster and how this tradition came to be.
Aggie Muster Day. We gather here to mark the day Aggies proudly stand, to honor those who've gone before to the promised land. Each name is called upon the roll, comrades answer here. Trumpets sound their sad goodbye to those we hold so dear. All heads are bowed in silent pledge, never to forget, while rifles fire their last salute, echoes answer yet. To their memory will be true, we will take their place, one for all and all for one, ever in thy grace. We'll meet again another day, reunion, we will pray, while we pray, to ask thy blessing on each one on this Muster Day, Aggie Muster Day.
Aggies gathered together on June 26, 1883, to live over again their college days, the victories and defeats won and lost upon the drill field and in the classroom. By April 21, 1903, this annual gathering evolved into a celebration of Texas independence on San Jacinto Day. These early meetings included field games and banquets for Aggies to reflect and celebrate their memories of Aggieland. Let every alumni answer a roll call, wrote the former students. It was not until 1922, however, that April 21st became the official day of events for all Aggies. Thus, the annual tradition of muster was born. The March 1923 Texas Aggie urged, if there is an A&M man in 100 miles of you, you are expected to get together, eat a little, and live over the days you spent at the A&M College of Texas. Still remembering and honoring the time spent in Aggieland, the tradition of muster has grown in strength, meaning, and spirit. By 1929, the meetings had spread worldwide, and in 1942, Aggie Muster gained international recognition. 25 men, led by General George Moore, class of 1908, mustered during the Japanese siege of the Philippine island of Corregidor. Knowing that muster might soon be called for them, these Aggies embodied the commitment, dedication, and friendship that is the essence of the Aggie Spirit. They risked their lives to honor their beliefs and values. That small group of Aggies on an outpost during World War II inspired what has developed into one of our greatest traditions. Muster is celebrated in more than 300 places worldwide, and the ceremony brings together more Aggies worldwide on one occasion than any other event. Muster is a time to look to the past, present, and future, not only to grieve, but to reflect and to celebrate the lives that connect us to one another. A gesture so simple in nature, yet so lasting in spirit, muster is the lasting impression every Aggie leaves with us. It reminds us of the greatness that lies within these walls, of the loyalty we possess, of the connection that binds us, and of the idea that every Aggie has a place of importance, whether they are present in flesh or in spirit. Thank you.
At this time, I would like to call up Dr. Todd Sutherland, Associate Vice President for Student Affairs at TMUG, and to introduce our speaker for the evening.
Howdy. Howdy. So it's my great honor to introduce our speaker tonight, Captain Mike Mansfield. Although he now claims Galveston as home, Mike started his career back in 1989 by enlisting in the Navy, serving aboard the USS Tripoli and the USS Tarara during Desert Shield and Desert Storm. After leaving active duty, Mike came to Texas A&M Galveston to pursue his Bachelor of Science, graduating cum laude with a Maritime Administration degree. I had lunch with a lot of his classmates and tried to get a lot of good stories, but obviously his commitment to intelligence and that type of stuff, they wouldn't share anything, so I don't know what he has on all of them. But he followed that up with a master's degree in public and private management from University of Houston Clear Lake. Commissioned in the year 2000 aboard the USS Texas, Mike had achieved great things over his military career, including experience in intelligence, naval special warfare, special operations, targeting, and expeditionary warfare. He currently serves as the commanding officer and director of Indo-Pacific Command for Army, Navy, Air Force, and Marine Services and Assets in Quantico, Virginia, Fort Worth, and San Antonio, Texas. Mike's extensive experience includes multiple combat tours in Iraq and significant roles such as one of 4 crisis action team chiefs in Japan during the nuclear disaster in Fukushima. His contributions have earned him recognition, most notably as Reserve Line Officer of the Year by the Association of the U.S. Navy. Beyond his military career, Mike has made significant strides in the civilian sector as well. He has held positions such as Global Operations Manager for Coke Supply and Trading, Trader for Cargill Industries, and Global Chief Operating Officer for AOT Energy in Lucerne, Switzerland until his retirement in 2019. Now, you think that would be enough, that he would kind of just sit back and relax a little bit, but not Mike. He currently is back on active duty in Fort Worth, revamping the 8,500-strong U.S. Navy Reserve Intelligence Force, which also serves as while also serving as a CEO of Mecotech U.S., a cryotherapy manufacturer. Additionally, he owns a cyber defense company, Stratum Point Incorporated, and continues to provide expert testimony and consultation in the global oil and gas industry. With a wealth of on-the-ground experience spanning nearly 100 countries, Mike has returned to Galveston, as I said, where he continues to inspire and make significant contributions to various fields. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Mike, a great leader, a great friend, and a great Aggie. I think you're all going to enjoy this presentation.
Thank you very much. Some of that was true, maybe some of it wasn't. But I'm glad that you're still here at A&M as well. So thank you. So howdy. Howdy. There we go. It's great to be with you back here at Texas A&M Galveston as we gather for this unique and most cherished of Aggie traditions. Your presence here tonight demonstrates your commitment to both Texas A&M and to your fellow Aggies, as well as celebrating and reinforcing a shared foundation. As we enjoy this time of Aggie camaraderie, I would like to thank those who made this evening possible. It's a lot of work. Shelley Fordyce, class of 99, Galveston County A&M Club Muster Chair. And Mr. Greg Gant, class of 72, Galveston County A&M Club President. Thank y'all. I would also like to thank the many people who worked so hard behind the scenes to make an event like this possible. I would especially like to thank Colonel Fossum, who I'm extremely grateful to for his leadership in driving the direction of Texas A&M at Galveston forward to meet the needs of the next generation of employers, and to the faculty and staff here at TAMUG by helping making those students' dreams come true. Your efforts are not wasted. And I'd like to thank each one of you in the audience that took time out of your life to be here tonight. I've made several speeches in my lifetime, most of them for positive, uplifting, and motivating reasons, and yes, some for heartbreaking and sad reasons when people that I've known who've passed away. Muster is somewhere in between for me. We gather tonight to honor individuals who are no longer physically here, but we also come together in camaraderie and in shared spirit to lift up all that we hold dear and are bound by, due to our mutual relationship with Texas A&M University. So hopefully in this discussion, I will be able to relay all of the emotions that I'm feeling up here on this podium in a respectful and meaningful way to do honor and justice to the families and friends of those who have left behind. In all of the speeches, obituaries, toasts, etc. that I've given, none of them, even those that were extremely close and important to me, none of them has filled me with as much honor as this one does. Because this one represents so much more than one person or one event. This evening, Aggies gather in hundreds of locations around the world. Each gathering will be as unique as the 593,000 former students of Texas A&M, but also each gathering will share a common spirit and common theme of remembrance, respect, and renewal. Tonight, Aggies will share good bull and swap old Army stories, but maybe, hopefully, some good Navy ones too. But we will compare notes on how much the campus has grown and changed over the years. And at the same time, some of us will make similar comments about our waistlines, our hair color, wrinkles on our skin that show the deep wisdom that we have gained since we have left Texas A&M. Yet we will leave here knowing the Aggie Spirit remains the same, because it was not the buildings, and here in Galveston, maybe the mosquitoes, but it was rather our fellow Aggies and our shared experiences at Texas A&M that made such a difference in our lives and will make a difference to some of you now sitting in the audience who are yet to graduate. These shared experiences include getting that wonderful Aggie ring that I have to have mine resized, but we'll get to that. Saying howdy to Aggies and non-Aggies alike. Standing together as part of the 12th man. Gathering on a quiet and darkened campus for silver taps and answering here. For a departed friend or relative at Aggie Muster. We gather this evening and reflect on those and countless other experiences. I was asked to reflect on a few of my own Aggie experiences. So I recall the first time I arrived on campus. I was just out of the Navy, where I deployed to Desert Storm. Sadly, I know that story is already in some of your history books because it was in mine after I departed the Navy. It shows your age. But in College Station, I was actually up signing up for classes. The lady behind the counter said, well, have you heard of Texas A&M Galveston? You're in the Navy. You should consider it. And I said, no. I wanted the Aggie ring. I wanted the Aggie tradition, the Aggie network, Aggie influence. She convinced me to drive down that day and look at this campus. So I did. My mom and I headed down to Galveston. I looked at the campus, the Gulf of Mexico, even though it's a little brown, the beach, the abundance of the part-time jobs that were available, which I would need since I would be supporting myself through college. My mind was made up. I don't think I even called main campus back. I just signed up here and started taking some classes. For me, looking back, I could not have designed a better degree for what I ended up doing in life. I pushed hard through school, working at the St. Louis Hotel parking cars and working as a dispatcher at the police department downtown. While there, I actually hired 5 other TAMUG folks that were in my grade. I graduated in 3 years thanks to fully loading up during the summer school at College of the Mainland and UH Clear Lake and here. I enjoyed campus life, participating in the SAMA clubs and the leadership positions in the Propeller Club. So I was pretty busy, but I still enjoyed spending a lot of my time down on what we call the Strand. So another interesting Aggie story for me is when I was about 2 months out from graduation. I started looking for a job. I put out some resumes. My first 2 interviews came back within a few weeks. I had not graduated yet, but yet I was already starting to get interviews. So on that Tuesday, I drove up to Houston wearing a brand new suit, tie, nice copy of my resume, ready to go. Prior to this meeting, I did what I was instructed to do. I studied about the company. I studied who I was going to meet. I studied the job. I studied everything I could. I worked really, really hard, and I was prepared as anyone could be. I walked in nervously to meet the CEO of this company. There was a bunch of animal heads behind him. There was whiskey on the table behind the CEO and a host of other Texas-looking paraphernalia around there. And I said, oh, as a boy who grew up in South Texas, I got this. There is no way I'm leaving here without this job. So we talked for a few hours about hunting, fishing, talked about Texas A&M at Galveston, its program, its traditions, its people, its network. Talked about the Navy, even politics. Talked about everything, and I mean everything, except the job. I didn't understand that. I enjoyed the conversation, but come on, I studied hard. I bought a damn suit. I mean, come on. I thought I did a great thing. But he got up, reached out his hand, and said, well, okay, son, well, I have to go. Thanks for coming up. My frustration immediately boiled over. I pushed back and said, okay, but sir, are we at least going to talk about the job? And this is where I first learned about how the Aggie Network works. Some of you here know Professor John Hark on the Mara side, and one of the Board of Visitors is his wife, Amy Hart. I never knew these people in school, never met them. But this guy I had just met with knew Amy Hart. In fact, the second interview that I was coming up to Houston for the next day was with Koch Industries, which is where Amy Hart was working. Turns out Amy had reached down to Texas A&M at Galveston and got some intel on the upcoming graduates, and that's how I was one of the people that Koch elected to interview. It also turns out that this gentleman who I just met the 2 hours with was one of Koch Industries' vendors and knew Amy Hart very, very well. So somehow she found out that I was also interviewing with him. Well, the gentleman told me, and I still recall it, Mike, you are graduating from an amazing institution. You're interviewing, but you're also interviewing with Koch tomorrow. Well, I didn't tell him that. How did he know that? How does he know this? He goes, well, I know you're going to Koch tomorrow, and I know that you're going to get offered this job. And there is no way in hell I'm going to steal you away from Amy. She can be, well, pretty direct. So congrats on your new job that you'll be offered tomorrow, and I look forward to being your vendor in the future. So there you go. Now I understand 2 things. I understand how the Aggie Network works, and 2, I understand that Texas A&M must graduate some pretty powerful women. It was also thanks to my TAMUG degree and my former enlisted service that the Navy granted me one of only 11 direct commission intel officer jobs that year in 2000, and I was sworn in on the battleship Texas. I'm extremely proud that it's now here in Galveston, so I can't wait to go and enjoy some time on that again. But a lot of my Texas A&M friends joined me during that commission. That commission has allowed me to go to places and do things that I would have never, ever been able to do. You see, I've been granted many accolades for my military service over the years, I have, like he said, multiple combat tours on the ground in Iraq, and I was one of the crisis action team chiefs assigned to the forces in Japan just outside of Tokyo to help the government mitigate the Fukushima nuclear disaster. All of that came from a maritime administration degree. But that was just the military side. Because of this degree, Koch Industries sent me all over the world as their sort of global fix-it guy, right? Thanks to Texas A&M and sort of rolling your sleeves up and getting dirty, they trusted me to go out to different places around the world. I've now visited around 95, 96 countries around the world, and I've really enjoyed it. So when my career hit its peak, I was recruited to be the global chief operating officer in a gas and oil trading company in Zug, Switzerland. I lived there for 6 years prior to retiring from that life and coming here to Galveston again. In that trading company role, decades past graduating, it was there where I found my third Aggie story I want to share tonight. I was invited to the UN General Assembly up in New York with an audience with the energy minister from Qatar. Some people call it Qatar, I call it Qatar, but that's where our other campus is at. The Swiss embassy had set this up for my company. On the left-hand side, I walked in, the minister was there, 8 of his entourage was there, each one had its own flag, and each one had a person behind them. On my side, I had 8 chairs and me. So I walked in, I had 30 minutes to give my speech, trying to get some business done. After that 30 minutes, we would seal the deal and we would walk out, or we would just walk away with nothing happening. So in about 3 minutes, as I started my speech, I could tell that I was not making headway. He kept looking at his watch and grabbing his Coke and reading the Coke bottle. So I knew then that this was a failed attempt to get some business. So I looked around, said, okay, fine. I closed the book, looked at him, I said, sir, and a little Texas smile. Pretty sure this isn't what you expected, so let's go ahead and cut this off now. I could tell he was a little amused at me just quitting like that, not something he normally sees. His entourage perked up, and all eyes were on me, so I just told him sorry to waste his time, but since we have a few extra minutes, I wanted to thank him as a Texan and as a Texas A&M Galveston graduate, and was proud that his country hosted our sister school. He perked up, now fully engaged, waved his entourage off, and they left the room very quickly and locked the door. It was just he and I. We simply talked about the school. He knew a lot about the Galveston campus and about the traditions, and we talked about when I had visited his country in the Navy. Anyway, we ended that meeting, and let's just say my boss is back in Switzerland. We're very, very happy. So my recommendation is to study hard while you are here. Be proud of your school, not just Texas A&M, but Texas A&M at Galveston. And don't be afraid to throw it out anywhere in the world in conversation. You might be surprised at who knows not only just about our little town here, but about this amazing campus. So much has changed at A&M, but as we gather tonight, we are both respectful of the storied past of our alma mater and grateful for its remarkable rise from a few buildings on a bald prairie and on a pretty large dredge spoil to one of the nation's largest and most respected institutions of higher education. We are grateful to the people who have preserved through times of adversity and times of struggle to leave us a Texas A&M that is, in the words of former university president and my former military boss, Dr. Robert Gates, a unique American institution. So tonight, we acknowledge all those decades of growth and positive change while we celebrate all that remains constant about Texas A&M, the friendliness of our students, the commitment to Texas A&M's core values, excellence, integrity, leadership, loyalty, respect, and selfless service. The enthusiastic passion found within our students and former students, our uncommon loyalty to our alma mater and to our fellow Texas Aggies, and most of all, the incomparable and unconquerable Aggie Spirit. You will see tonight, we will call a roll of Aggies who are no longer among us, and we will answer for each of them. We will remember and respect those who have departed and stand in support of those left behind. Earlier today, the Association of Former Students led a roll call in the Clayton Williams Jr. Alumni Center, College Station. Volunteers representing current and former students, Texas A&M faculty, staff, and administration called every name in our worldwide muster, and they answered here for each and every one. That roll call began at sunrise in Aggie land and included the names of about 1,400 Aggies. It lasted more than 2.5 hours. The Association of Former Students does this roll call every year to ensure that every Aggie is remembered at a muster. as they should be, and as they always must be. Among the names called were those of Chase Murphy, class of 1998, the voice of Aggie football and men's basketball from 2001 to 16, known for his signature call of another fighting Texas Aggie first down. Miss Pauline Dominy, class of 1975, who entered Texas A&M when few women attended this all-male school to receive degrees in chemistry and zoology and launch a career as a scientist. She was the first in her family to graduate college, but not the last. Brigadier General Thomas Smith, class of 2001, a veteran of Korea, Vietnam, the Cold War, Purple Heart recipient, and nearly 20 years after he retired from the U.S. Army, he enrolled back at Texas A&M at the young age of 70 to get his master's degree. At 14, currently enrolled Texas A&M students we lost in this past year, including my high school football coach's grandson, a great young man named Logan Jones, class of 2024. So as we gather tonight to remember those Aggies and so many others, we are joined by fellow Aggies around the world, including those gathering in Reed Arena for the campus muster, included the members of class of 1974, commemorating their 50th year since graduating from Texas A&M. And although the spirit is the same, Texas A&M today looks a lot different than it did back in those days. Today, Texas A&M ranks among the largest universities with a fall 2023 enrollment of 77,000 students, including those at the School of Law, the Health Science Center, the branch campuses in McAllen, the country of Qatar, which I talked about earlier, and Galveston, Texas. With more than $1.3 billion invested in research annually, Texas A&M is number one among Texas public and private schools in total research expenditures. Texas A&M has long been known as a school that proudly welcomes veterans, myself included. It's the reason so many Aggies, including some being called today, chose to use their GI Bill and post 9/11 Bill here at Texas A&M after serving in our nation's armed forces, again, as I was fortunate enough to do so. Today, it is ranked number one nationally for service to veterans transitioning into civilian careers after military service and is considered the best value nationally for veterans. It's ranked number one nationally among public and private universities for producing CEOs of Fortune 500 companies. Students from all over are attracted to Texas A&M for many reasons: outstanding academics, timeless values, wide variety of student organizations. Students today can select from more than 1,300 student involvement opportunities, including social, religious, and service organizations. Through these organizations, students learn, build networks, and lead. These extracurricular organizations are an essential part of the other education we Aggies hold so dear, and it has been very important in my life. Student leadership and involvement opportunities have been a mainstay of the Aggie experience since the early days of Texas A&M, with the oldest and most recognizable of these groups being the 2,300-member strong Corps of Cadets. The Corps continues to provide tangible development and leadership opportunities for cadets as they prepare for careers in the military and in private sector. Each year, 30 to 40% of our cadets will pursue a military commission, continuing A&M's tradition of providing more commissioned officers to our nation's armed forces than any institution other than the military service academies. That is something that I'm damn proud of. A lot of these cadets, when they join the military over the next 10 to 20 years, it's their career, they will go into a world that's extremely dangerous and volatile. So we should keep them in our prayers. The Corps of Cadets represents our oldest student organization and the origin of most of our tradition. Yet within our school, we also see a spirit of renewal, an appreciation of the past, and a focus on the future. That sense of optimism for the future of Texas A&M can be found throughout our campus and reminds us that the best is yet to come for the alma mater. When we consider how great our first 148 years have been, it's quite exciting to think of even better times ahead. With the passage of time, some of our traditions may be carried out in slightly different ways, but our underlying Aggie spirit will remain unchanged, and we will continue to burn brightly, and it will continue to burn brightly. We are known for our many traditions, but more importantly, for what they represent. So I recommend in your life incorporating these learnings of these traditions into your daily life. Granted, maybe you hold off at midnight yell when you're visiting the folks, But think about what the 12th man truly means and represents. Think about muster, why we're here today. Think about silver taps, what it means to the families and the friends. Think about community, leadership, honesty, and helping out your fellow Aggies. Tonight we celebrate what is enduring and what is true about the Aggie Spirit. And what is true more than anything else is that no matter where you are around the world, your fellow Aggies are there for you. Every muster ceremony is different. A muster gathering can be one filled with celebration and joy or one filled with quiet remembrance and tears. Aggies gather in the grandeur of ballrooms, convention centers, comfort of homes under the shadow of conflict. I recall serving in the Middle East for 2 musters. Today, Aggies are gathered in restaurants and bars, on ships and military bases, in kitchens and on porches. And they're all doing the same thing we're doing today, honoring those who have passed and cementing the foundation of the tradition that we hold dear. It matters not where we gather tonight, nor does it matter how many gather with us. We gather in groups large and small. We gather as old friends, the ones we've known for years, and the ones who we've just met. We represent all ages, all class years, in every state in the Union and nearly every country in the world. Tonight, whatever road or ship, in our case, brought us here, whatever our differences, we unite as one people, singing together the spirit of Aggieland, and remembering the love we have for Texas A&M, its traditions, and the love we have for our fellow Aggies. So muster tonight is a rekindling of this Aggie spirit. It reminds us that we are part of something bigger than ourselves. May tonight's muster fuel each one of us to carry the Aggie spirit throughout the next year. May it inspire us to keep warm in our hearts and our affection for each other and for this great institution of Texas A&M. And for the currently enrolled students here tonight, please reach out to this Aggie community if in times of doubt or trouble or distress, or if you simply feel you need some help or someone to talk to. We've all been there, and we're here to help you get through it. And now we will do as Dr. John Ashton, class of 1906, instructed us to do in the poem he wrote in 1943, Roll Call for the Absent. He wrote, "Softly call the muster. Let comrade answer here. So we will answer, just as those for whom we will answer did for their forebears. We will answer for relatives, for classmates, for colleagues, and for some whom we only share the bond of being a Texas Aggie." Dr. Ashton also wrote in the same poem, "Mark them present in our hearts. We will meet some other day." So among the countless ways in which we are blessed to be Texas Aggies is the comfort of knowing that someday, somewhere, hopefully a long time from now, Aggies will mark us present in their hearts, and someone will answer here for us at our journey's end. That is the sacred promise of Aggie Muster and of Texas A&M. So we gather here to honor those departed, honor their families, honor their traditions. But we also need to ensure that we honor and build up what we know is so dear here at Texas A&M. So I thank you all for gathering this evening in remembrance and fellowship as we keep that promise to those fellow Aggies we have lost. It has been my greatest honor and privilege to speak with you and to be present with you this evening at Aggie Muster. Thank you. May God bless you and our fine institution. And as always, gig 'em.
Mike, thank you for accepting our invitation to speak at the Galveston County Muster. As a token of our appreciation, we'd like to present you with this gift to remember your time with us tonight.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Now please stand as the Tamug Choir sings "The Spirit of Aggieland," which will be followed by the reading of "The Last Corps Trip" by Vincent Garcia, class of 24.
Some may boast of prowess bold, of the schools they think so grand. But there's a spirit can ne'er be told. It's the spirit of Aggieland. We we, true to each other as Aggies can be. We've got to fight, boys, we've got to fight. We've got to fight for maroon and white. After they've boosted all the rest, then they will come and join the best. For we are the Aggies are we. We are from Texas, Texas A&M.
The Last Score Trip by P.H. Duvall, Jr. It was Judgment Day in Aggieland, and tenseness filled the air. All knew there was a trip at hand, but not a soul knew where. Assembled on the drill field was the world-renowned 12th man, the entire Fighting Aggie team, and the famous Aggie Band. And out in front with Royal Guard, the reviewing party stood. St. Peter and his angel staff were choosing bad from good. First he surveyed the Aggie team, and in terms of an angel swore, "By Jove, I do believe I've seen this gallant group before. I've seen them play since way back when, and they've always had the grit. I've seen them lose and I've seen them win, but I've never seen them quit. No need for us to tarry here, deciding upon their fate. 'Tis plain as a halo on my head that they've opened heaven's gates." And when the 12th man heard this, they let out a mighty yell that echoed clear to heaven and shook the gates of hell. "And what group is this upon the side?" St. Peter asked his aide, "that swelled as if to burst with pride when we our judgment made?" "Why, sir, that's the cadet corps that's known both far and wide for backing up their fighting team, whether they've won, lost, or tied." "Well then," said St. Peter, "it's very plain to me that within the realms of heaven they shall spend eternity." And have the Texas Aggie Band at once commence to play, for their fates too we must decide upon this crucial day. And the drum major, so hearing, slowly raised his hand and said, "Boys, let's play to spirit for the last time in Aggieland." And the band poured forth the anthem in notes both bright and clear, and 10,000 Aggie voices sang the song they hold so dear. And when the band had finished, St. Peter wiped his eyes and said, "It's not so hard to see. They're meant for paradise." And the colonel of the cadet corps said, as he stiffly took his stand, "It's just another corps trip, boys. We'll march in behind the band."
And now it is time for the most hallowed part of Muster roll call. Amber Shelton, class of 27, will read "Stand for Me." Kira Carrasco, class of 24, will read "The Spirit of Muster." And Greg Grant, class of 72, will call the roll of our departed comrades. Following the roll call ceremony, Paige Franklin, class of 26, will read the poem "Silver Taps." And Julia Rimney, class of 24, will read "In Memoriam."
Stand for Me, a poem by Patricia B. Millsap, class of 79. Will you stand for me at muster when I leave this earthly plane? Will you answer for me clearly when they call out my name? Will you speak of me a time or two when Aggies gather round, especially at a football game at Kyle Field's hallowed ground? If you can do these things for me, I know I'm still a part of the school and friends I leave behind that filled this Aggie heart.
The Spirit of Muster by Joey Dean, Class of '05. For all the Aggs who have gone before me, who gave all they had for all I now enjoy, our spirit I faithfully carry forward and try to leave a better world behind. Softly call the muster Aggs and raise your candlelight. Today, my gone but not forgotten, let 'em hear that old farmer's fight. Today, my voice is yours, as I call here. I stand for fallen heroes, for those I hold most dear.
Please be seated. Will the candlelighters please come forward? Mrs. Mary Lou Torregrosa, class of 1946. Dr. George W. Cox, class of 1957. Mr. James D. Debrecht, class of 1959. Mr. Robert F. Bosey, class of 1961. Mr. Robert Dodd Bates, class of 1962. Mr. Kenneth W. Powell, class of 1962. Mr. James Earl Rudder, class of 1962. Dr. Joseph H. Schmidt, class of 1965. Mr. Neil Thompson, class of 1966. Mr. Bernard J. Rapp, class of 1970. Mr. Jesse D. Chinsky, my classmate, 1972. Mrs. Donna Cornelius Harrison, class of 1975. Captain Stephen Wayne Prendergast, class of 1975. Mr. Travis Wayne Garrett, class of 1976. Mr. John C. Sandlin, class of 1978. Mr. David Bruce McFarland, class of 1979. Mr. Johnny Burns, class of 1981. Mr. David Zeldin Einsel, class of 1981. Mrs. Kathy Barry Huddleston, class of 1981.
Here. Mr. Robert G. Reitz, class of 1981. Mr. Heston D. Thomas, class of 1983.
Mr. Ricky Burt Ford, class of 1985. Mr. Forrest W. Davis, class of 1986. Mrs. Janet Marie Huseth, class of 1986. Mr. Tobias Gus Seltzer, class of 1987. Mrs. Kimberly Ann Montz, class of 1990. Mr. Jim Goldsmith, Jr., class of 1991. Here. Mr. Randall David Garlington, class of 1992. Mr. Richard Rusty Butson, class of 1992. Mr. Dale James Robofsky, class of 1995. Dr. Constance Marie Lehman, class of 2001. Here. Mr. Justin Edward Branner, class of 2006. Miss Laurel Leslie Hadaway, class of 2006. Mr. Matthew Ryan Meadows, class of 2011. Miss Adrian Rose Strub, class of 2015. Mr. Michael D. McAuliffe, class of 2016. Mr. Jet Thomas Creighton, class of 2022.
Silver taps at Aggie Land. It's a gloomy Tuesday morning. The holidays didn't last. Why are the Aggies mourning? The flag, it's at half-mast. There'll be silver taps tonight, men, we all hear the speaker say, and everyone feels a chill, and then each one prays in his own way. One by one, the lights go out tonight, till lifeless stands each dorm. He was a good Ag, he put a good fight. For their brother, they all mourned. 6,000 Aggies start to gather, approaching with muffled footsteps. We'll bid him farewell together and render him silver taps. Dear God, he was not perfect. You know, for you have kept the score. But deep in him, there was love for you. Please give him rest forevermore. So come on, bugles, let us hear, while the angels wipe their eyes, the solemn taps we love so dear, for one of ours in paradise. Just wait till April comes around and his name is called out from the roster. Here, we'll hear in a clear sound. He'll be there at the muster.
You may now be seated. In memoriam, we stood a little taller and a little prouder then, when we heard the call of muster and the roll call just began. We stood there all together and wiped away the tears when our names were called out softly and answered with a here. And so we've joined together with our brothers of the past to make our final resting place at Aggie Land our last. We take a toast to our brotherhood wherever they may roam. For us, the trek is over. Aggie Land, we're coming home.
The 2024 Texas A&M muster in Galveston County is completed. I charge each of you to remain firm in your loyalty to your country and to your God, and to keep warm in your hearts your affection for each other and for Texas A&M. The muster is dismissed until April 21st, 2025. May God be with us all until we meet again. I think we're just breaking it.
Go team.
Nice meeting you. I met up with Jason today.